17th March, 1950. On the 15th March, Dr. Raghavacharya and 2 other doctors came and saw the condition of Maharshi and gave a written report, which the ashram authorities quickly locked up in the iron safe, which led to the presumption that it contained a bad prognosis. Since some days, reports of Sri Maharshi's deteriorating health have been appearing in the Madras press, especially in the English daily called The Hindu. The Maharshi temperature for some days has been standing at about 100. His normal is 97.5. His systolic blood pressure today is 98. His pulse is high. Heart has rapid action, perhaps hypertrophied with ankle swelling, and the growth continues to expand. 20th March, 1950. The Tamil radio and press broadcast of Maharshi's illness in Madras and Bombay caused yesterday a large influx of anxious visitors and devotees from all over the south, amounting to about 1,000. Among them was Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, the former Diwan of Travancore, who carried for Sri Bhagavan a garland of beautiful roses of a man's size. A Bengali devotee brought the good news from his competent astrologer that Sri Maharshi would live at least till July of 1953, if not for another 12 years, as his disease was not a malignant tumor, but rheumatic inflammation, for which he recommended a certain Siddha medicine called Bhasma, which the devotee himself could secure in its absolute purity from his own doctor, a specialist in Ayurveda who resided in Calcutta. But the presiding homeopath, still in charge of the case, refused to administer it, suggesting patience for another 4 days, at the end of which the Kaviraj might be called to administer it himself, if Maharshi's health would not have improved by then. Some disciples supported one side, some the other, with the result that the Bhasma was not given. In the meantime, the case has become almost unmanageable and the weakness excessive. Yesterday morning, while going to the bathroom, Maharshi tottered and fell. His attendants, having been unaware of his increased debility, continued to behave as before and failed to support him when he walked. Luckily, it was a mild fall and did not have adverse after effects. 24th March, 1950. Yesterday evening, suddenly Maharshi's temperature rose to 101.6. His pulse likewise rose. The heart's murmur was heard all over the chest, and the smell from the wound worsened. While returning from the bathroom at 6:15 p.m., he felt faint and crashed on his couch. Dr. S. Rao and the homeopath, who were quickly called, gave him some coconut water and absolute rest, and after 15 minutes he recovered somewhat. 26th March. After darshan hour last evening, there was much activity outside the hall. Mr. M and B and Mrs. T and Balarama Reddy and 1 or 2 others went into consultation, once jointly and once in small groups, and rushed here and there and to and fro for about 40 minutes. I knew there was something brewing. Later I learned that they had sought permission to call in the Kaviraj and that the permission had been granted. Immediately a telegram was sent to him in Calcutta to start for this place without delay, and the homeopathic treatment was stopped. Maharshi is suffering from persistent nausea and cannot retain even water. There is no appetite, and urination is very scanty. The tumor is now as big as a coconut. 29th March. The Kaviraj, who arrived at 10 a.m. today, gave the Maharshi his first dose of diluted in some milk. Sri Maharshi's weakness has become so pronounced that since last evening he stopped sitting out for darshan. Devotees are now twice a day made to pass his door and bow to him in queues formed in the garden below the passage, near where his sofa used to be placed during darshan hours. His systolic blood pressure fell to 88 and diastolic to 60. The Kaviraj gave orally 2 or 3 more doses during the day. 5th April, 1950. Yesterday, Monsieur Cartier-Bresson, the expert French photographer, took a photograph of Sri Bhagavan, which may prove to be the last one of him, and in fact it did. Maharshi's health has remained more or less stationary since about a week. His nausea and scanty urination have not been persistent, yet there has been no improvement in his general condition, which continues to prevent his coming out for darshan. Yesterday morning, His Excellency, the Governor of Madras, the Maharaja of Bhavanagar, and his wife had Sri Bhagavan's darshan in the small room, then worshipped in the ashram's temple, inquired after the 2 white peacocks they had presented some weeks back, and left. At 6 p.m., till now, Sri Maharshi has not passed urine at all for 24 hours. The tumor is spreading with masses of cauliflower-like heads. The Kaviraj left yesterday for Calcutta after keeping directions and medicine in the hands of the local Kaviraj, Dr. Parashurama Iyer. 6th April, 1950. Symptoms of definite toxemia have set in Maharshi's body. For the whole day, his urinary secretion did not exceed 1 ounce. The rate of his red blood corpuscles has fallen to a new low, and his intake of nourishment is not worth mentioning. Dr. Parashurama Iyer came to see me and told me that he had asked the Sarvadakari to call in the Kaviraj's assistant from Calcutta, saying, "For I do not agree with the medicines left with me by him. The tambara, the copper, and basma which I am asked to give is, I feel, far too strong in the present state of Bhagavan's health. I have given a very small portion of it and fear to give more. I do not want to bear the consequences of such strong medicines, particularly as they are not prescribed and prepared by myself. The case is hopeless." So they wired to the Kaviraj to send a competent man. 7th April. Sri Maharshi is slightly better. He is less drowsy today and is voiding urine from time to time. He has ordered his attendants to offer him nothing for which he does not ask, saying, "If I want water, I'll ask for it. You are not to remind me." He is given 6 times a day the Kaviraj's medicines in liquid form, which he finds irksome to take. "What? Again medicine?" he would exclaim when given again, and whatever liquid medicine he ingests, he deducts from the quantity of the liquid nourishment, liquid being the only form of food he now consumes. Not that he wants deliberately to sabotage the doctor's treatment, but it is simply impossible for him to accommodate in his stomach more than he can conveniently manage. And if he is pressed by an unwise person to take a little more, he goes on satyagraha against all food and medicine, and no man born of a woman can prevail upon him to remove the ban till it pleases him to do so, when he feels that the punishment he has inflicted by his resistance is commensurate to the pressure exercised on him. Doctors gently argue with him that scanty urination can be relieved only by an increased intake of fruit juice and water. And he said, "And if I can't take?" He leaves his body to manage its health or diseases as best it can, without the slightest effort of cooperation on his part. His mind is ever sunk in bliss. It is true that his body is suffering, but that is no reason why he should disturb his mind to oblige it. If it dies, well and good. If it remains, so much the worse for it. It is the business of him who made it to keep or take it away and do all the worrying. It is none of his own business to interfere and inconvenience himself on its behalf. The blood pressure systolic fell to 78 and the diastolic to 50.